What's going on, YouTube? This is Luke with Endless Entrepreneurs, just coming to you guys here Saturday night with a quick live video. I'm going to try to keep this to a half hour. Just got back from, had a nice dinner, and actually hit up there's a new cider place downtown Charlotte with Shannon. So it's been an awesome day. Been listing a bunch and prepping a ton of inventory, and just thought to come to you. It's been kind of weighing on me a little bit. Your business starts to turn into a grind as an eBay seller, and you need to look for ways to keep it fun and interesting and engaging. So I thought this would be a perfect topic for tonight. For those of you new to my channel, I am a full-time corporate finance analyst and a part-time eBay seller. I've been building my business pretty seriously now for probably about a year and a half, 2 years. I've been selling eBay for a long time, and I specialize in men's clothing mostly. So let me just jump over the chat here before I jump in. So we got quite a few people watching live already. Hi guys, thanks for stopping in. Hi Hannah. Hi Stacy. Hi Ethan. Corey. Try to keep shouting some people out here. Sorry. Hi Michelle. Thanks for stopping in. Looks like we're doing. Hey David. Hi Jessica and Sarah and Jennifer. Man, thanks for stopping in, guys. We got 54 watching live. That's awesome. All right, I'm gonna let people filter in here for a little longer. Hey, Philip. All right, so I'm just gonna jump in, guys, and we'll do some Q&A at the end on this topic. I think there'll be hopefully a lot of ideas sharing with this topic, especially because the reselling business, can be kind of lonely because it's just you, right? You and your business for the most part, unless you have employees in big scale. And you're doing the same task over and over, right? Like you're going and buying the same types of items, you're listing the same types of items, you're doing the same measurements, you're doing the same photos, and you're kind of rinse repeating, and it almost turns into that hamster wheel approach. And for me, I battle this sometimes, and I have to be very intentional about not letting myself fall into that. It can be a little lonely and overwhelming and you kind of get demotivated and you don't work as hard when you get into those ruts. And so I just thought this was a really cool opportunity to talk about. I have really 3 things that I try to do that are at the core of, kind of what I believe about my business and how I grow it. And I just want to share how I focus on those. And so the first one, I'll jump right in with number 1. And a lot of you probably do this, but it's to start learning about new products and categories. So I know for myself, I've started with clothing, and I started with one area. So I started with just dress shirts and casual shirts. And then as I mastered those, or at least I felt comfortable that I knew most of the brands, then I started jumping into pants. And it was dress pants. And then I started jumping into shorts. And for me especially, the challenge of learning something new keeps my brain engaged, keeps me excited about it, lets me feel like there's growth opportunity. Whereas when I start to master one aspect of it, it kind of like, I don't know, my brain doesn't engage as much and just kind of becomes mindless and a little more of, I don't know, it's not as engaging as like the best word I have to describe it. Is it just, you don't get excited about it. You don't get as passionate about it because you're doing the same, thing. You're looking at the same shirt, the same 20 brands over and over and over. And it's like when you start to learn about those new categories, it's like, oh, there's some new measurements. Oh, there's some new styles. Oh, there's some new brands, new colors, new patterns. And there's just all these things that you start to learn, new materials. And I feel like that gets exciting because your brain has to work to remember it and to research it. And there's all these other activities besides just buying, measuring, listing, buying, measuring, listing. And in addition to it, it's like as you start to learn, you start to get excited about the growth opportunity, right? You get excited that, oh man, not only can I do these, I can add these in. And oh, these are a little higher margin, or these are a little higher profit. And these sell for more, and these sell quicker, and these sell slower. And you start to just kind of, it gets more exciting because your portfolio of products is more dynamic. Now, a step back from that, when you first start out, I don't think it's a good idea to just branch out into everything. I think that you should focus on 1 or 2 or 3 little areas and really learn and develop them. But you're going to get to a point where it just becomes so routine and rudimentary, and it's not as engaging, that it's time to start expanding. It's time to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and make it exciting again. Make it a little scary, right? Make it where you walk into a section, you have no idea what you're looking at, and you feel a little out of place. Like for me, like even women's jeans was probably the last notable time when I like kind of stepped out of my comfort zone and really pushed myself to expose myself to more categories and brands. Like to walk into the women's jeans section and to know it's marked women's jeans and to stand there and look at every single pair of jeans for a 20-minute period. It took a lot to get over that, but it got me out of my comfort zone. It challenged me to learn the styles, right? To learn the different fits, to learn the different materials, to learn the different kind of lingo, the measurements, and it made it exciting for me again. And then there was more opportunity, and I got excited about the opportunity. And so that's really my first big tip for what I feel, and it just helps me keep things exciting. And it stops it from getting stale. Hey, Ronnie, thanks for stopping in, man. And Ronnie, I'm sure, especially when we get to the Q&A part, you could add a lot to this and keeping things exciting. You've been doing this a lot longer than I have. It can get pretty mundane. But so that's my first one, is definitely take the time to learn about those different categories and just make yourself more dangerous as a reseller, right? The second one, and this one is probably debatable, but for me, this is how I view it, is if you're already doing those things, like you're looking at new categories and products and you're doing all those things to try and engage it, and you're still kind of bored, then maybe your goals aren't aggressive enough. Like maybe you're not pushing yourself enough in your business to keep it exciting, right? For me, I set a really big goal at the beginning of this year to sell $100,000 part-time on eBay, right? Like gross, not net, but gross. I wanted to sell $100,000. I knew that was going to require a lot of effort, but I knew that it would keep me engaged, right? A goal that big, to have to be consistent and intentional about it for a long period of time is exciting to me. Like it's proving to myself I'm capable of it, even though I'm not really sure if I am, right? Like I know what it takes to do it. Whether I have the longevity and fortitude to get to it, I don't know. I'll find out. Like I'm not going to give up on it easy, that's for sure. But I think that sometimes we get disinterested because the goal isn't big enough. It's not worth it to you, right? Like we set like kind of these middle milestones, and it's like, yeah, they're fun to talk about, but if I get it or don't get it, it's not a big deal. To me, it's like I set a 100K goal. I want to get it, right? And when I publicly say it too, that's another thing. Public accountability with stretching the aggressive goals just adds another layer of excitement, right? When you know people are watching you and you know that people want to see you succeed and you're sharing that with them and you're sharing the ups and downs and you just have people you can talk through it with, like my mastermind group and things like that. Like it pumps you up about your business. It gets you excited when ordinarily it would just kind of be boring doing the same thing over and over. And so I think a lot of times we have to take a step back and evaluate our goals as if, are you challenging yourself enough right now, right? Like, are you stretching yourself to a good limit that's just outside your comfort zone? Like, that's how I always like to think about it. Like, if I'm not just outside that comfort zone and I start to get comfortable, like, I know I'm probably not in a good place. Like, as soon as I'm comfortable, I'm like, yeah, just going through the motions. It's like, that's really dangerous because then it's a slippery backslide. And this business is all about momentum. You know, those of you who have been reselling for a while, you know it's about momentum. You backslide for a little bit, you stop being intentional about your listing and moving forward and challenging yourself, your results kind of backslide too. And, you know, there are some ups and downs seasonal, but it's a big momentum business. I mean, you got to keep the momentum up, the listings up. And so I think that a lot of times we have to really evaluate and push our goals month at a time too, right? It's one thing to set a year goal, but maybe your effort that you thought you needed to get there isn't enough and it's getting a little too boring, or maybe it's going to take too long to get there and you want to get there sooner. And so you need to add more effort. So that's my second big one. You know, those are the two that I kind of toggle between when things get a little mundane, is learning new products and stretching myself, like seeing what I'm actually capable of and seeing what I can, you know, produce as an entrepreneur and as an owner of my own business. You know, those are two things that really engage for me. I'm going to pop over the chat real quick and just see. All right. Looks like, hey, Jason, thanks for stopping in. Hi, Corinne. Let's see what people are saying here before I jump into the third one. All right. Glennie Ruth said, it helps to change with the seasons weather related. Yes, totally agree. And I think another thing that people will add in with, you know, reselling is if you change the places you source. And I don't actually have this on my list, but I think this is another really good one. And thinking about like with garage sale season coming up right now. Like I know a lot of my reseller friends went out garage sale who don't even normally garage sale very much, but it's a change, right? The sun's out, the spring's here, the weather's nice. Hitting those garage sales and really, you know, just having a different atmosphere rather than just going through rack after rack and the same few thrift stores you look at all the time. It's a nice change of scenery. It's uplifting, you know, to be outside in the sun and things like that. I think that makes it more engaging too. So maybe a kind of a part 2A there is, you know, change where you're sourcing. Look for different places to go, different ways to buy. I'm bulk buying now. I'm experimenting with bulk buying as well as normal thrifting. So I think that also can make it more engaging and more entertaining and less of like a grind. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. So I'm going to cover my third one, and then I kind of just want to switch to more of a live Q&A format to this, because I think there's a lot of people in the chat who have a lot they can add, and I think there's a lot of questions that we could go back and forth with. But the third one for me, and this is probably the biggest one, that's why I saved it till last, is to step away and have balance away from your business. So, and this sounds kind of counterintuitive. When you set big goals, you stretch yourself, you need more time to accomplish it. However, if all you do is work in your business and you don't step back and have balance, remember, this is my why, right? This is why I'm working this hard, because I want to have the freedom to do this. I want to be able to spend the time with this person, right? I want to be able to spend more time with family. I want to be able to travel freely. You know, there's all these different things that come with it. You need to take time and step back, if it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, with the people you care about, and just reflect and step away from it, so that when you come back to it later, it's exciting again, right? Like you've had a chance to kind of rejuvenate and get re-excited about it. And for me, this is like, Shannon and I have this, you know, once a week we always have a date night. Like we always, no matter what, we have some type of date night where we get out and we do something, just the two of us. And for me, that's so critical for me, because we get to reflect on our week. We talk about stuff that has nothing to do with my business, right? Nothing to do with what she's working on. It's really just like our life and what's going on and what we're excited about. And, you know, even just simple things about who's working out when this week, you know, when are we grocery shopping, when are we meal prepping. But having that time to just get away, do something fun, go out to dinner, go to a brewery, whatever, maybe bring Thor. Like it helps when you go back to the business part of it. It keeps it really exciting. So I just urge everyone, as you develop your plans, and if your business ever gets to be too much like a grind, right? Like your schedule just feels like, oh my gosh, I'm doing the same 6 things over and over. Like just change it up. Schedule it, you know, if you have a significant other, schedule a date night in the middle of the week, or go do, like if you like playing basketball or whatever, like go play a pickup game, or go do something that you wouldn't normally do that just completely takes you out of that mindset, stops you thinking about your business for a little bit, and then come back to it. Even like when I'm prepping items and doing photos, like I'll stop and I'll take Thor for a long walk, just to kind of like unplug, get refocused, be out in the sun. Like I just feel like that's so huge for staying excited about what you're doing and staying focused on it. And I know there are a lot of studies too, like where if you spend more than about an hour on a focused task, like your productivity just goes down really fast. I mean, some people are exceptional and can just keep that focus, but for me, I can't. Like I need to really focus on that. And Jason just said no one can work 24/7 indefinitely, and that's very true. I hit walls all the time. Shannon keeps me in check. You know, I'll get real intense and real nuts about it for a couple of days and realize, hey, I really need to step back. And, you know, having someone to keep that in check and realizing that you could really run into a wall. And the problem is too, guys, if you're not looking ahead before you hit that wall, sometimes that wall knocks you down real hard. And what I mean by that is, yeah, you might hit the wall the first time and you lose a day of productivity. You might hit the second time, a couple weeks later, you lose 2 or 3, kind of go into a rut, whatever. But I'll tell you what, if you go too hard, you get too burnt out, and you completely lose your passion for what you're doing, right? Like that motivation can completely leave you, and you might never pick back up with your business. And I mean, I've seen that with other resellers who just go so hard, and then they realize it's just not worth it, because it's just, I put so much effort in and I'm just so out of energy, because you just didn't take that marathon long-term approach to it. So I'll kind of end on that, you know, on that note as far as what I'm saying. Or you get really sick, Jim said. That's a really good point. But let's just switch gears. I'd love to hear what everyone else does to kind of keep things exciting for them and their business. I know, you know, for me, you guys have been following, I'm bulk buying now. So I have 4 pallets of clothing confirmed coming 9 a.m. on Monday. So that's going to be kind of the next chapter for me. It keeps me excited about it. I'm still thrifting and things. But so what do you guys do? I'd love to hear what you guys do. And Ronnie, I know you're in the chat. Feel free to impart some wisdom on us on how you keep it interesting for yourself. There is a question here, though, and this is Q&A, so I will answer any questions you guys have. Feel free to put them in the chat. It says, if you want to sell an item for its parts, do you have to be an eBay store in order to be able to list all the parts, or just one listing on a drop-down menu option? So I believe the question is, can you use a variant or multi-quantity type listing if you don't have an eBay store? And I don't actually know the answer to that. I actually don't know. I'm sorry. I know that as a store, I definitely can use a multi-quantity listing, but I'm not sure if you don't have one, if you can. You may have to have a store subscription. In fact, someone in the chat can answer that who's used multi-quantity listings. I'd be curious to know. And yes, the people are asking, Shannon is my fiance. She's in the chat. Rhino LA said, Luke buying pallets a risk reward. Yeah, there's always a risk buying stuff sight unseen and only going off pictures. But I think the reward, because of the buy cost, the quantity, saving time on the sourcing, the upside definitely offsets that risk. Let's see. And if Picker said, just looking around the corner, hoping for a next big home run. I'm not really quite sure what that question is. If you can clarify a little bit for me, I'd answer that. Prof. Jason's in there said, take a dedicated day off a week when I don't talk about business or work in it. Sanity, it does a body good. Yeah, Jason, and I completely agree. And unfortunately right now, I'm probably not following that the best that I should. I don't have a dedicated day completely off yet. I need to start working that in. Working full-time and doing this just becomes 2 full-time jobs basically. And taking a day off, I don't know. I think right now I'm excited enough about the business that I just don't do that yet. But I take a lot of partial days off. Like today at 3 o'clock, 3:45, we stopped and we were gone for 5 hours and we're out and about bouncing around. So, but yeah, I totally agree with Jason. If you can do it and take a full day off, man, it helps so much. Fabian said, go to school full-time and have a full-time job and eBay half-time, so I'm always busy. Yeah, and you got to be careful just to mix it up to keep it interesting. Ronnie said, just take it one day at a time. Things change, plans change, reselling is my life. That's a great advice, Ronnie. I mean, that's something I've always admired about, Ronnie. If you haven't checked out his channel, you should, Hearts Pickers. He's been reselling full-time for quite a while, and he just goes with the ebbs and flows, and he adjusts his business and makes it work for him and keeps it interesting. And every time he talks about his business, he's excited about it. And so, I mean, it's just something, if you're looking to model and keep things interesting, that's definitely one person you can check out. Let's see. So I don't want to miss questions here. Reselling has gone gangster for the last couple of days. Not really sure what that means, but let's see. David C. said, I bought 5 pallets right before Christmas. I'm still selling them. Had just over 1,000 items. Wow, that's awesome. That's a lot of pallets. I mean, maybe not awesome you're still listing them or still selling them, but how long did it take you to list them, David, if you don't mind me asking? And what type of stuff did you buy? Amazon seller said, long weekends off do wonders. Yep. I haven't been able to mentally take more than like a day off. Like, actually, we're going to New York this week. We have one of our really good friends' wedding, and we're just going to get away for a couple days and see some family. And it's going to force me to really just disconnect. And I'm pretty excited about it, but I don't know how my mind's going to handle it. So this should be interesting. I don't know any good sites to buy pallets on, guys. Sorry. This was just a specific connection that I got hooked up with, and it's worked out so far. New Frontier Business says, I love buying pallets. I do too. I think we'll find out on Monday. Let's see. Oh, okay. NF Picker said, keeping me going, just looking for the next treasure. So he is saying that looking for that next kind of home run keeps it exciting and going. And I agree. Finding home runs is awesome. Oh, Jason, you mean tonight you're hitting that pool room soon or just soon? Because I would definitely be in for beer and some pool, even though you'll probably kick my butt. Michelle said, just curious, why would you want all the parts? Oh, okay, that's the other question, sorry. Corinne said, I've been gently suggesting for a while now the girls will get on the calendar, right? Shannon's always on my calendar. But outside of that, man, the calendar gets tough. Hi, Whitney. Thanks for stopping in. My dance addiction just asked, how many listings do you do a day? I try to do 12 a day. It fluctuates though. Some days I won't get any in. I'll prep items. Other days I'll list 30. Sometimes I'll list 10, 3, 2. Just depends on my schedule for that day, when my workout is, if I have any sports leagues, things like that. But I try to get 350 in a month. So far this year I've hit that. It's going to be pretty tight finishing that tomorrow. I had planned on my pallets being here on Thursday, and they're not getting here on Monday, and so it's kind of screwed up my sourcing. But I have enough inventory now that if I bust butt tonight and tomorrow, I think I can still hit my 350 because I really don't want to miss that listing goal. Let's see what else we got here. Someone asked if my sales are back to normal. They've been pretty up and down still. I don't know what's going on. It's been really weird. Like some days I'm like, oh, I'm right back at it, like doing $200, $300, dollars in sales. And then other days, like I've been doing some days where I have $20 in sales, one item. And it's like, what? Like I have like 1,730 items now listed. It's the most I've ever had listed in my store. And I sell one item in a day. It's just like, oh my goodness. But I guess April's pretty tough. I'm pretty optimistic for May. I'm just going to keep listing a ton and just wait for those sales to come up. All right, let's see what else we got here, guys. Ronnie says I list once a week. I ain't about that list every day thing. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if I've thought about it, Ronnie, too. If I thanks for rubbing it in, Ronnie. Ronnie says his sales have been great. I've thought about it though. If I was full time, like if I ever did switch to be full time, I think I'd only list 2 days a week. I think that if I wasn't buying pallets only and I was still sourcing, which I probably would be doing both, I would source 3 days a week and list 2 days a week, and I would take the weekends completely off. Like that, I think that would be the only way that being full time would be fun for me. Ryan just asked, what are the key things for reselling you should track on your spreadsheet that you would need to know to prepare for your taxes, and what business structure did you choose for your business? Why? Well, that's a loaded question, Ryan, but I'll try to answer it the best that I can. So the first is I have a website. It's in the description, endlessentrepreneurs.com. I have 3 spreadsheets on there. 2 that are probably applicable to what you're talking about. The one is I use as the daily tracker. You can download it for free there. And it's really just items I list per day, items I source per day, the costs associated with them, items sold per day, and the cost or the sales dollars associated with them. So that you kind of have an average cost of goods. You have your average, your sales for the year, how many items you sold. And then in the side columns, you can keep tracking different expenses you've paid. And then I also have a profit and loss statement one that's just very basic that you can use as a reseller. You can check that out. And then my third thing I would encourage you is to consult a CPA, or, well, I say CPA, consult a tax professional, right? So someone that actually specializes in online selling, knows the business, knows what you need to prepare and keep track of, and compare what you're tracking to what they say you should, and just make sure that you're connected, because it's a very valuable resource to have that relationship. Let's see. Hi, Terry. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Let's see. Jim said it also depends on the weather. When it's cold and rainy, people shop. And yeah, I agree. Rain affects kind of your mood in general. And I don't know if that was specifically towards that comment, but I will say weather is something that does impact a lot of people, right? Whether you want to go outside or inside, and if you're willing to get out, if you're excited about what's going on. One of the big reasons why I like living in Charlotte, North Carolina now versus where I lived in New York was it was always cloudy in New York. 5 days a week, it was cloudy. And you don't realize that it's kind of depressing when you look up and it's just there's no sun anywhere. And then I moved down here and it's sunny 6 days a week, and it's just what a difference it is being down here. I'm going to take questions for like 5 more minutes, guys. So any other ones, just get them in here. And then I'm going to wrap up because I'm going to do a little more listings before I go to bed. Gleaning with Ruth said, list as much as you source. Don't let death piles get you. Yeah, that's a great tip. I mean, if you don't do well with clutter and piles and it slows you down, then definitely try to list as you source. For me, I don't do well with clutter, but I'm okay having a big pile of inventory to get through. But at any given time, I would say I never have more than like 100 to 150 items to list at a time that are just unlisted. New Frontier Business said, Luke, I checked out the store and dig it, but you have some 7 fam crop dojos listed for men's. That line is only for women's. Oh, sweet. Thanks. Yeah, I'm kind of a jean newbie, so to speak. I've learned a lot recently, but it's a new business for me. So as we talked about at the beginning of the episode, trying to step out of your comfort zone, I still make mistakes. So I will check that listing out and correct it. I really appreciate that tip. Thank you. Let's see. Donna said, cloudy in New York. I'm in central New York, and it's been sunny and in the 80s. Well, that's really funny because the New York forecast I looked at today while we were at dinner, since we're going home, was cloudy and rainy and in 54 for the next like 8 days. Anna Picker said, if you're getting 3,000 items, how are you going to list them all at 12 a day? Are you still going out and getting things? That's a great question. So first, I'm going to try to list all 3,000 in May. So I know that sounds insane, but I'm probably going to hire some help to come on weekends to help me sort. I'm going to do multi-quantity listings, which means that I only have to picture each item once basically and do variants. So it'll be like different size variants or different color variants. So hopefully I can sort them into piles of like, probably 20, 30, maybe 40 at a time. Do one listing, so photos listings, get them in a bin and get them out. So I'm hoping I can churn through them, especially with help. But yeah, that's my plan. I'm still going to source Goodwills, and that's a part of kind of keeping your business interesting. If I just did pallets and bulk buying and I didn't source Goodwills, I think I'd get bored because I love the thrill of the hunt. So I'm going to do both and try to maintain both. Ronnie said, Ronnie said, tip for jeans. If the pockets are deep, they are men's. Thank you for that. Appreciate it, Ronnie. And he also said, I believe upstate New York is getting snow next week. Don't tell me that. Oh, that's rough. Terry, I don't think we'll make it down on June 17th. We are going to be in Punta Cana for a wedding. So I think that's the week anyways. We're going to be down there. So I doubt we will be doing that. Let's see. All right. Oh, our free journey said, hey, Luke, what is your rate of returns? Just under 3%. I think it's even a little lower now, but on the year it was like 2.8% last I checked for the quarter, and it's been very low in April. So it's definitely not a big deal. Returns, that is. Got about 1 minute, guys. I'll take any more questions, and then I'm going to wrap up. I really appreciate everyone stopping in. We got 125 watching live. Thank you very much. Whitney Willie said, do men's and women's jeans button differently like some tops? I don't think they button differently. Well, a lot of times the decoration of the button themselves is different. Like it's more elaborate and there's more designs or bling or types of things on them for women's, but I don't think they button on different sides. I think that's just for shirts. But Jason and Ronnie in the chat might be able to help me out with that. I am not a jean expert yet. I can tell you that. Veritas Affordable Clothing said, hey, Luke, what's your bread and butter? Dress shirts are definitely my bread and butter. Brooks Brothers, Ralph Lauren, kind of those type of lines. I sell, quite a few of those each week. And Jim Butler said, women's jeans have a really small fly. So that's another good tip, and that's very true. Usually the rise, which is the distance between the crotch and the button, is a lot smaller for men's versus women's. Yeah, Miss Dana said women's pants have a shorter rise. Exactly. And yes, Terry, got a haircut. My hair is pretty mad down from my hat, but I had to. My hair was getting out of control, so I did get a haircut. And it's a little less intense right now. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up. Again, I really appreciate you guys watching. If you don't mind, hit that like button. Check me out on Instagram, and my new website's up, so check that out. I'm going to put up a new blog hopefully tomorrow. A lot of cool information. If you have any ideas for future content on there, definitely shoot me an email. I'm always looking for ideas for kind of the more long-form content. Would love to write some stuff on that. And I'll take this one last question. Kyle Kervin said, your experience with ties, I just started, but noticing no watchers and few views. My prices are 10 to 15 range. Price same as similar. Yeah, I mean, ties, I don't worry about watches and views, guys. I mean, it is kind of an indicator, but it's kind of not. I mean, just ties are long tail. You got to find the right buyer. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I can understand being a little discouraged about it. But you're pricing them competitively. You should be fine. All right, thanks, guys. Have a great night. Really appreciate you watching. Hope you have an awesome finish to April. I'll have an April update here midweek, and I definitely will be lots of video on the palettes. I think Jason's going to come over and give me a hand, too, on Monday, so we'll have lots of good content around that, for better or worse. Have a great night, guys.